Marty, you know how like modifying cars is fun?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's funner when the car works, you know what I mean?
Oh, dude, it's almost always funny when the car works, but we don't seem to be able to master that.
Because when the car doesn't work, you got to spend a lot of your time like fixing it.
Yeah.
And making it work before you can do the good stuff.
Yeah, I know. But you get fit doing this. So you're exerting yourself quite heavily.
Am I?
Yeah. Are you? I don't know, are you?
Are you?
No, well, sort of, because I got no power steering.
What are you doing, man?
I'm steering.
Oh, dude, it's hard to push when you do that.
Oh, I know, but I got to get the car in the right spot.
Can that be the right spot now, please?
Yep. Good work.
There we go.
On this episode of Mighty Car Mods, more blown up Subarus.
Welcome to another episode of Mighty Car Mods. Apparently Subarus blow their gearboxes and blow their engines, Martin.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Because owners don't check their oil.
Well,
do they, Martin?
Come on, man.
I didn't check mine in my WRX either.
Unfortunately, as many Subaru owners will know, especially owners of Subarus that are somewhat fast or modified,
that your car's not as fast as a Nissan.
The engines occasionally like to break.
Yes.
And they're known as fragile, but we're only talking fragile when they make lots of power. But also, oil leaks out of them sometimes. It doesn't have enough oil in the bearings. Things break. We don't know yet, but that's been the fate of this particular Subaru.
That's right. So today we're going to pull the engine out and we're going to pull it apart. And Martin, but we're not alone on this journey beyond the mountain of pistons. Can you hear that? Just have a listen, everybody. It's Benny.
Benny!
G'day, mate.
Hey,
it's
mate.
Mechanical Stick, of course. Benny is our resident Subaru expert, lovely man with a luscious beard. I can highly recommend if you're ever camping and you need to nuzzle into some delicious hair, Benny's beard is top notch. Not a top knot. Don't be friends with them. It's top notch.
It's all about the beard oil, I believe.
Is it,
But if you use motor oil, you just get that extra luscious look.
Yeah. So look, let's pull this engine out, Martin, and then we can have a look and see what's wrong with it.
Today you're going to come with us. We're going to show you how to remove and extract a blown Subaru engine.
This car's only ever been gently just driven down to the shops, right?
Yeah.
We're preparing for the battle of a millennium. The millennium?
Battle of the century millennium.
Yeah, the battle of the century. It's going to be so epic. Marty and I have had a rivalry that's been going for years, and it's time to settle it once and for all.
That's right.
Two rival brands.
That's right, and we've got like people pouring into the stands to come and witness it.
And it's never drag raced my mum.
Not once.
Ready, and go! Go, 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 go! Foot to the floor. Hold it there, hold it there, hold it there.
Chopped! Oh no! Change! 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 Oh no! No!
Hold it there. Yeah!
That's it! Red line! Red line!
I'm doing the red line. I'm doing the red line.
Oh, so close!
We're winning! Subaru power!
And it's never been on the track at all.
No, never.
Slowly reeling him in!
He's catching us! He's catching us! Good. Well, all the more mystery, Martin, about why it's blown. All right, let's do this. In fact, Martin...
Never tracked. How many Subaru ads do you see where it says, never tracked, never boosted?
Martin, I think you should tell us what tools we're going to need.
So these are the tools you're going to need to remove your Subaru engine, a surprisingly small amount of tools. We've got a whizzer and a dacker, which makes things a little bit easier. You don't need them, but it makes it easier. A couple of spanners, 10, 12, 14, 17 and 19, and long spanners handy as well for torque converter bolts. A couple of pliers and stuff just to get cable ties and wiring looms and stuff out of the way. We've got a socket set, again, the same sizes, 10, 12, 14, 17. I don't even need that. I thought I was taking wheels off, but we're just doing an engine, so we don't even have to take the wheels off, which is a bonus.
JDM whizzer adapters.
These are the whizzer sockets that we were talking about recently that go into that whizzer. We've got, breaker bars, extensions, little bits and pieces like that. Probably need a screwdriver too that I forgot. Also, we're going to need a jack and jack stands. We're not using our belly lift because we only need to get to the front of the car and we want to get a bit of angle on it, which helps getting the engine out. So we're going to use this. We need an engine stand. Once we get the engine out, we need somewhere to put it. You can just do it on the floor on a tyre, but it's a bit awkward, so engine stands are cheap and they make things a lot easier. And the big one you need is an engine crane. This is a fairly meaty one for doing heavy engines. You can buy them online. They're quite cheap, actually. Subaru engines don't weigh a great deal, especially little 2-litre ones.
Martin, speaking of big and meaty, there is one more tool that you need.
Screwdriver.
No. Oh, sorry. There he is. Mate, there he is. That's helpful, everyone. If you can get one of them, that's very helpful.
I'm just sneaking in the two that I forgot. You need screwdrivers. There it is. How do we do it, Benny?
Jack it up and pull it out.
Let's go. So this is a 2003 naturally aspirated 2.5 litre single overhead cams Subaru Liberty, known as a legacy in Japan and elsewhere. This is a really nice example of one as well. It's been owned since new. It's always been looked after, always garaged. Some of you train spotters might have seen it before. But one thing about it that you may have noticed is bonnet scoop on naturally aspirated car. You know, that's...
Some people have an issue with that, Martin.
Yeah, it's a bit controversial. So we pretty much solved that problem about 18 months ago by installing a 2004 WRX engine, so 2-litre EJ20. It's still an auto. The car was always auto, and we managed to put the WRX automatic in it as well, because some Rexys did come out as autos. And it's super factory, right, Benny?
100%.
So this was a you, me, and Alan Christmas a few Christmases ago.
Yeah, this was a bit of a Christmas project.
So what's the process for swapping one of these? Because that used to be a really common thing to do.
Yeah, the conversion process generally is get a donor car or a half cut is the best way to do it. Swap motor box, cross member, airbox, radiator, like all the bits from one car, just use them in the next car. There's no point trying to save $10 using a non-turbo radiator or like so many people try and go, oh, it'll be cheaper if I buy a motor in a box and then I buy a loom from someone else and this from someone else.
Yep.
It never works.
Yep. It
just never does. But the biggest part of this conversion really is the wiring, which Al is a master at.
Yeah.
Like you just watch him basically do it without even diagrams now.
There's a Skid Factory video of him doing a wiring loom, and it's pretty much for this kind of swap. Hey, I think it was a turbo into.
I think it's this exact conversion.
So if you want to see how the wiring's done, it's 50-minute long video, and we'll put a little link to it. But this is a really nice package that these cars never came out with, but they did come as a B4, which was a twin turbo EJ20, and they're not amazing.
They work, but they have a lot of inherent problems because of their age now.
Yes.
Because the whole twin turbo system is reliant on vacuum pressure.
Yeah.
Or vacuum lack of pressure. Someone will correct me on that. As soon as you split one vacuum hose, the whole system stops working.
Yeah, I remember. I've had one, and they're bad.
I've replaced all the vacuum hoses in one once. I'll never do it again.
Yeah.
So this is a 2-litre or a 2.5?
This is a 2-litre.
So you've gone back from a 2.5 to a 2-litre. It's easy to get engineered and blue slipped and legal because they did come out as a turbo. You've just essentially taken one turbo away. Has bigger brakes on it and all the gear. And it ran really nicely, but recently it started doing
something.
This. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Sounds fine.
Yeah, that's fine, man.
It's a bit clacky. That's the word I'd give it.
It's not too bad.
It's clacky.
But it's definitely got a bearing issue. I'd say the bearing hasn't like fully collapsed yet.
Yeah.
But it's spun and it's not happy.
Yeah. And why do they do that?
Subarus generally, when they start to run low on oil, just starve themselves and bearings spin when there's no lubrication there.
Yep. Because they're in the casing and then they can just come out, right? Is that what they mean by spin?
Yeah, so there's two little tabs on the bearing itself that generally locks it into the connecting rod. And then what happens is the bearing will grab the crank and spin in that, and then it either creates low or high points in the bearing, and then you get movement in the bearing itself. And that knocking noise is actually the rod moving back and forth on the crank.
Oh,
so there's a gap between the bearing and the rod now.
Right.
Can I ask a controversial question?
Yes.
If you owned this car and you were about to sell it second hand and it sounded like this, what would you do to it so that it didn't sound like that?
Pretty much.
Put another engine in it because you're not dodgy.
The right
No,
thing.
I know, but I'm saying because stuff like this is when a lot of people, and the reason I ask, this is when a lot of people trade their cars in. Oh, it's sounding weird, it's whatever, so this could end up at some dodgy dealership.
This
what would
is
they
like
do?
one post away of the internet going, my car makes a knocking noise, 500 part out questions.
Yeah.
That's the internet.
Yeah,
And that's what's going to happen.
Right.
Did you do an upper engine clean on it recently?
No.
It smells very upper engine clean.
Probably just oil burning somewhere that's not supposed
smells
to
very
burn.
upper engine cleany.
Yeah, it hasn't been started for a while.
Yeah.
So
Should we do it?
we just get into it, right?
Let's jump
Start
in.
pulling stuff out. I'm going to listen to you. How many of these do you think you've done in your life?
Oh, it'll be in the hundreds.
I was going to guess like 150.
Yeah,
It's not 152 though, is it, Benny? Do you know why?
Why?
Because there's 2 Subarus that you've never done.
No, you're
Were you saying that
Both-
there's only 2 you've ever done?
2 people. Well, 2 cars I know of that haven't had engines, and you've owned both of them.
Yeah. Forester and
You are the
WRX.
only Subaru owner I know that hasn't had the engine out of their car
Amazing.
twice.
And they've been tracked. They've been boosted. They've been driven hard.
They both had the gearboxes out,
And they've
but neither of them ever had the engine out. Believe that.
Marty's about to say something cheeky.
I
What
can't-
is it?
I
You
can't
have
even-
to talk about some Evo
No,
rubbish.
I can't even pretend that I haven't been that guy because
You've been
there's
that guy with
videos on the
every
internet of me
Subaru
changing
ever.
engines in my Subaru.
I think every Subaru you've owned's had the engine out of it, except maybe that naturally aspirated white Gen 2 wagon.
Yeah, that was sick.
Did the engine
See,
come
no
out of that?
turbos. That's how you fix these things. Maybe we should. No, we're not going to take turbos.
No, this was bad
All
when
right.
it had.
All right.
This was bad when it was non-turbo.
Let's
This
go.
has already had 2 engines.
Let's go.
pre This one.
I'm keen. I'm going to get my very few number of tools and
Cool.
present them, and we're going to.
Let's jack it up. Step 1, jack up the
And what's
car.
amazing is Marty's mum's car becomes turbo, and then we turbo my mum's Lexus, and then we drive our mum's cars in a battle of the century.
Does a 2JZ fit in that Lexus?
1J.
1J will fit in that Lexus?
Really?
Oh my god.
JZX 110 half cut. Slam it in.
Oh my god.
Oh,
And,
Mum-
it's auto.
hashtag
and it's
mum's
auto.
car battle.
And it's
Oh my
auto.
Who wants to see that? Who wants to see Marty's mum's car versus my mum's car? Turbocharged. Yes, please.
I want to see that.
It is unfortunate, but it's true. This can be a common issue when you own a Subaru, especially if you're leaning on it performance-wise. This engine, however, is fairly stock and hasn't had much asked of it. It's not boosted up and makes less than 200 kilowatts in its current form with a small TD04 turbocharger that brings boost on nice and early, making it a very drivable car on the street. For that reason, it's strange that it's making noises in the bottom end. The first thing we have to do is drain all the fluids out of it. The oil looks suspiciously metallic and brown, which is not a good thing.
The breather hoses on earlier Subarus get brittle or hard with age. So when we normally pull them off, just give it a little bit of heat, just with a pocket blowtorch or a cigarette lighter or anything like that. Not obviously trying to cook it, but just enough to warm it up so it's malleable to remove. Could save you $50 in breather hoses. So little workshop tip to get you out of trouble.
Among the other things that need to be removed, we have to get the radiator out to make room to pull the engine forward, up and out. The engine is around 15 years old, which means some of the hoses can be really difficult to remove.
I have both hands wrapped around it, and I'm yanking it and twisting it and like seriously.
flange is? The bottom part?
Yeah.
Yeah, where
I
your
can-
fingers
I
are going
can,
in?
I can flick the little flangey bit with my sort of my thumb,
Yeah.
flick it and flick the edge.
Move your thumb, because I'm going to stick
Oh, I
it in
can
from
feel
this
your
side.
hand through the other side. That's weird, man.
Sorry. Oh, it's super wet.
Wow.
Okay, I'm jamming it in from up here,
Yep.
and you pull it from underneath.
Oh man, I'm pulling it.
Watch your fingers though, because I'm coming in
Oh,
hot,
you're gonna
man.
stab me with that thing.
Yeah, I know.
Oh wow.
It's got a big
do
head
that.
on it because I didn't think my smaller
Oh
one would
dude, I
fit.
think I'm gonna get like soaked when this thing comes.
Hurry
Just
up
far out.
and
Look at
pull
that.
it now. Yep, pull, because I'm sticking it in from behind.
I'm gonna get a proper shower, dude. It's just a lot of moisture.
Is
in
it
there.
coming?
Think so. Don't stab me with that thing.
I'm not stabbing
It
you. with it.
hurts when you
I'm
stab
trying
me like that, man. That's bad.
I'm jabbing it around the top.
Oh,
just to
no,
help.
you
It's
got
coming.
me.
I'm sorry. But
Ow.
It's coming.
Ow! Ow! You got me again.
Sorry. Pull it.
Really on there, isn't it?
Yep. Pull. Yes, I can see it
Is it
coming.
gonna go?
Yep. Go.
I'm gonna put a bucket
Yep,
underneath
put that
it
there to grab it, and
catch
watch
everything.
your eyes, man, because probably a lot's going to come out because I don't think this has been off in a very, very long time. Paul,
Dude,
do you need me to get under there as well and get some more hands on it?
nah. It's gonna go. I'm serious. I'm like both hands wrapped the whole way around it.
sometimes it just takes longer than you expect. You just got to concentrate.
Oh, I'm getting tired from it, man. Like I'm literally getting fatigued.
Is it helping you that I'm jabbing from up here? Because I can see the area that's getting stuck.
I don't think it's actually moving, man. It looks like it is, but
It looks like it's moving from up here. There you go. Keep going. Keep going. Okay, I'm going to jab in from this side. Yep.
I hope we have a new one of these because it's thrashed.
Shall we just cut it off?
Nah.
Could just undo the thermostat housing if you actually.
Oh!
Fully showered my face, man.
That's a lot of juice. All right, well, this should come out now, yeah?
Yep. Just let it leak a bit. Whoa. There you go. I'm just trying to catch all the water that's coming out of it so we don't get a...
Way more coming out than I expected.
Careful, what's the aircon?
Yep.
Yeah, you're good, man.
Having a horizontally opposed flat or boxer engine, Subarus are laid out a little differently to other cars, but the process to change the engine is more or less the same. You have to get everything out of the way so it doesn't get smashed by the engine as it's ejected.
Benny, radiator is out, oil is out. We're starting to get rid of all this gear. I can see a turbo. Are there any sort of tips? Because you could just keep pulling stuff out, but there's going to be a limit where we don't actually need to keep pulling stuff out, right?
There's plenty of stuff you don't need to remove, and there's a few things that are pretty... It makes it easier if you do remove them. Things like the power steering pump and the aircon. Normally I unbolt them and take them off the engine, so both the power steering and the aircon systems stay sealed.
Oh, right. Otherwise,
so that means you don't have to regas it.
Yeah, okay.
Same with the power steering. It's pretty messy.
Yep.
Like it always just goes everywhere. So I find it easier. Some people prefer to unbolt it and have it go everywhere, but I find the 5 minutes that it takes to unbolt it, especially being that this block's not going to get reused.
Yes.
We'd have to unbolt it when it's out of the car anyway, so we may as well unbolt it now to save the leaks and the mess and the redoing of everything. So yeah, I'd take them out, but things like inlet manifold, turbo, exhaust manifold, all that'll stay on and come out as an assembly. It's way easier to pull it off out of the car.
Yep.
I find that you can break, like, there's some fiddly hoses under the manifold. If you try pulling off in the car, sometimes you can break them, and it's all easier if it's out on the stand. You can look at stuff better and get different orientations that you can't get in the car.
And the aircon and power steering, I mean, they have flexible hoses. Do you think that's so you can do this? Or it just happens to be like, because it feels like, I mean, on a Subaru, you go, put that there, engine comes out.
I mean, you'd need flexible hoses anyway because the engine moves and the body doesn't. But I think they give you extra amount of hose maybe for that reason.
Yeah. I sometimes wonder where the manufacturers care about.
I think
because it would save them
Subaru
time.
specifically, when you look at how the cars are built,
they
were built to be pulled apart again. Like there's, like things like the bonnet goes all the way up. You don't have to take the bonnet off to pull the engine out.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of obvious design features that they've thought about stuff to make it easier for the technician, whereas you work on, like some Toyotas it takes 6 hours to pull the alternator out. Subaru is like 3 bolts in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like there's very obvious design stuff in this car for workshops or for technicians to make their lives easier.
I wonder if the guys who designed the car had a meeting with the people who work on them. And said, please make our jobs easier by doing X, Y, Z.
It's probably the only manufacturers ever to do that.
Yeah.
But potentially, I mean, they've been logically designed from the like vertical bonnet features from the 70s. Like they've been using it for that long, so it's not a new thing. And they've actually, since they've gone to gas struts, they've gone one step further, and there's actually 2 lots of mounts in the bonnet. So you undo the normal position, then bolt it higher, and it holds the bonnet up. So it's slightly more labour intensive, but it still has that same idea.
But it holds it up. That's pretty awesome.
So then you don't even have the stick in the way anymore.
Because you pull the stick out and put it somewhere else, is that?
It goes in this hole in the tower, but on this particular model, it doesn't actually work 100%. The stick's just not shaped right, but I don't know if there's another service tool you can get or if you just make your own one or whatever. I've got a few that I've cut down over time for some certain applications, but I don't have a Liberty one.
So we pull off a few more hoses and bits and pieces, and then we're going to have to split the engine from the gearbox.
Undo the torque converter bolts first.
Yep.
Because being an auto, you have to do that, otherwise
it ain't coming apart.
You'll pull the converter out with the motor.
Oh yeah, no good.
And then it's a bit of a mission to try and assemble it properly. There's a clip on that holds the converter to another extension, and it's messy and horrible.
Pitch mount undone?
Yeah, we'll take the pitch mount out, starter motor.
Hoses.
Dump pipe. That's a job for you. You can do the dump
hoses.
pipe.
Oh, yay.
Because you can be on your back again.
Awesome, on the floor, in the wet.
Nah, it won't be in the wet. Yeah, you will.
element of the removal that is specific to automatic cars is removing the flex plate bolts which connects the transmission to the engine via the torque converter. You do this by rotating the crank by hand and removing the bolts through a small hole in the top of the engine casing. Next, I have to unbolt the dump pipe from the rest of the exhaust system.
Because we've been helping you, like this has been about an hour, how long would it actually...
Dump pipe's out.
You okay, mate?
Yeah, it's good.
Do you need me to grab something, mate?
Caught it with my
Face?
appendages.
Do you want me to grab it? So, Benny, there's been 3 of us on this and filming for about an hour. How much longer would it have taken you if you were by yourself?
It'll be out now.
It'd already be out.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're not actually helping, we're hindering, is that right? We're having a nice
It's a
time.
social occasion.
It's a social occasion, Benny.
The last few steps before we yank this thing is to remove the bolts that hold the engine block and gearbox together, as well as the lower engine mounts that sit on the crossmember. Then it's a matter of slowly levering the two apart while supporting the gearbox on a jack and the engine with the crane.
So the mad engine crane trick I learned recently is that instead of pumping the crane the whole way up, is that you can actually just knock that over. You can actually just lift it to roughly where you want it and then let it go and it'll sink a little bit. Sort of pump it up a bit, which is a lot quicker.
That's a good trick, mate.
It's a good trick. And then you can fine tune it with your pumping.
Excellent. Now over here I do believe that we have a, just trashing the place, mate.
No.
Over here we have a, is this a mirror seatbelt?
Sure is.
Look at that. Can you feel the power, Martin? And the seatbelt seems to be standard engine removal business, doesn't it, Benny? Yes, it does.
It's probably not really work cover friendly, but we've never had a drum with it. And the reason I like seatbelts over a chain is it doesn't scratch the manifold or anything. Like, it's just fabric. So you don't have like all these chains scratching stuff, and especially if you've got like a painted manifold or something neat, it doesn't chash it.
True that.
He has spoken.
Well said, Benny.
But officially, it is not load rated for this application.
When you said butt
Thank you.
officially, I thought that was actually a word like butter and officially, butt officially.
It is
butter
now.
officially. Oh, weird. It did something weird to my brain. Speaking of doing something weird to my brain, let's remove this. Pump up the jam, up periscope, etc.
Do we have to pull it off the gearbox as it's coming up?
I just want to lift it up out of the crossmember first, and then we'll have a bit of a squeeze.
Should I undo the engine mounts?
You already have, Martin. It's in the box because you left them on the floor in the middle of the workspace.
Bring in the box with it. Hey!
There it
Let's
goes.
do that then.
Yay! Oh, because it's got the pin things in them, locating what's studs.
dowels, yeah.
Dowels, there's a word for those.
Studs and dowels.
Studs and dowels.
Sweet. Now we're in a good place.
Is it now going to be a combination of car down, or does this just come straight up and out?
Straight up.
Just stop it. Make sure it's not going to catch on anything, and
Yep.
away we go.
Yep.
She's off. So now we just go straight up.
Yep.
Yes.
Catching on anything?
Not yet.
We're good this side. Oh, I love this bit. It feels so productive. There's something also about lifting something that you couldn't lift with your own hands easily.
Sorry.
Hi, Mum.
That legit is my mum. Hi, Mum. Hello, Mum.
Hello.
Hi, Mum.
Darling. Hi, darling. How are you?
Hi,
I'm good. How are you?
Busy.
Yeah, we're busy.
When is a good time for me to ring and have 3 or 4 minutes with you?
I'm going to give you 5 or 6 minutes, and I'm going to call you in 5 minutes.
Okay, darling. Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.
Do you know why she's ringing?
Why?
When's my 1J going in?
Yeah, no doubt. she could tell that this was happening. She knew.
Sensed it.
Anyway, that is the engine removal today from Marty's mum's car. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. And I do believe, Martin, next episode we're going to pull it apart and diagnose it.
Next episode, we're going to work out what went wrong, why
Yes.
we're even bothering to do this.
Good.
Which will be fun engine archaeology.
It will be fun. Thank you very much to Mechanical Stig, of course. Thank you to
Mechanical
Martin.
Stig.
And next time we see you, we'll be pulling this apart. Goodbye, farewell. Let's go smash some macaroni cheese and some intergalactic goat cocktails, Martin.
Sounds good to me.